going to be discussing dementia, the various types, at least the most prominent form of dementia. But before I start on that topic, I want to talk about the word dementia and what it actually means, and why it's so important for you to get a diagnosis for your loved one. And as you see as we go along, there's differences between, excuse me, between the Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, and some of the other forms of dementia. The word dementia is a Latin word that means mind away or insane, actually. And if you look at the various definitions, you can choose one and know that these particular forms of this disease are not psychiatric disorders, but they are actually a destruction of the brain itself. So I'm going to start off with Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is our leading form of dementia, most prevalent form of dementia, so to speak. And I'd like to start off with putting a visual graph in your mind's eye of a 20-year disease. And if you look at this graph, and it's just a bar graph, the first 5 years, which would be at the far left end of your graph, would actually be the time when you see your loved one with these various symptoms of what you believe may be a form of dementia. But we tend to make excuses for our loved ones. We tend to not want to face the fact that they may have a disease that is a progressive disease that there's no cure for. So if you look at that first 5 years, a lot of people don't go to their physicians to get diagnosed. A lot of them pretty much, our families make excuses for them. The next 8 to 10 years are what are really a roller coaster ride. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of changes that are happening. And then the last 3 to 5 years, I call those the Rip Van Winkle years. Those are the years where the person is severe and they may take what I call little brain vacations. They may just go to sleep for 3 days and be in and out of the hospital, and there's various reasons. They'll think it's dehydration, or they'll think that there's other problems going on, when in actuality on the 4th day they're sitting up asking for oatmeal. It's just amazing to see how that they take these little brain vacations. So how do we determine where your family member is? Well, there is an exam called a mini mental state exam, and that particular evaluation is done by most either primary care physicians or your neurologist. This particular form asks a series of questions and has the person do various tasks. The range of scoring is between 1 and 30. 30 being the person is just as normal as you and I, and the other end of the scale means that they've deteriorated. If we look at stages and phases and open up 6 different books, what you're going to find is that it's someone's opinion with symptoms listed of where your family member fits into the scheme of things. So what I usually look at is a different set of verbiage. I either look at mild, mild to moderate, moderate, moderate to severe, and severe. Severe is that point when the disease is encumbered the person completely to where they're unable to feed themselves, dress themselves, speak, do anything. Basically, they are a child, an infant, and you are caring for them 100%. So using that form of verbiage based on that scale of the mini mental state exam, it helps you understand a little bit better where your family member is. A lot of people ask me, when is it time to place someone in an assisted living or in a dementia unit? And to be honest with you, I place people based on the care provider, not on the person with dementia. And as we go through these various segments, you'll understand why I feel that there's a set of things that a person with Alzheimer's is capable of doing under a structured, routine environment, which a lot of families cannot provide because it's a very cumbersome job being a caregiver. So if you look at how the progression happens with, again, looking at our visual mind's eye for a visual aid, and you have to excuse me because I normally do this talk in front of a group of people with a wipe-off board in front of me. But to look at the progression, it's almost like a set of stairs. There's that plateauing at the top of the stair, and then there's the declining to the next stair. That plateauing period, however, can last for a period of time, and there are various things that can cause the person to decline, which we will talk about in our next segment. But if you look at that stair step, it is definitely evident that this disease is not a curable disease right now. We don't have anything on the horizon. We do have the Band-Aids, which help slow down the progression of this particular disease, these medications that are on the market. And the most widely used is Aricept, which is a medication that I actually did the research on for about 9 years before it came to market. So what makes these people so different? Well, they're not sick. I think that that's one of the biggest things that I could say about Alzheimer's, is that Alzheimer's people are not sick. They have a memory problem. They literally can walk, out, eat, out, do things that you and I cannot do, or can't. Sometimes it's hard keeping up with them. They're very active. They have difficulty initiating an activity, but they can still do an activity. And depending on where they are on that MMSE scale, it depends on how long that they can actually do an activity. Some people can do it for half an hour, some can only do it for 10 minutes, some can do it only for a minute. Of course, the activities get simpler and simpler as the person progresses. Now, if we were to look at the medications that they're on, if you'll look at the list of medications for a person with Alzheimer's, there's very few medications. They may be on a thyroid medication because they've had low thyroid for many years. They'll be on possibly an antidepressant, maybe not. And then, of course, they're on the medication, a cholinesterase inhibitor, to help slow down the progression of the disease. But other than that, there's not a whole gambit of problems with them. They're not sickly people. They've never been sick in their life. They very seldom go to the doctor. And that's what's so alarming for most family members, is that here you've got this healthy person who all of a sudden now can't function at the same capacity they could before. So if we look at them, we have to realize that the more that we do for them, the less they're going to do for themselves. A lot of people will come in and say, or call me up and say, you know, she can't do anything. And I'll ask them, well, how do you know that she can do anything or not? Do you allow her to put the toothpaste on a toothbrush? Do you allow her to make a sandwich? Because keep in mind that Alzheimer's is basically unlearning puzzles, and everything that we do in life is a puzzle. And it takes steps that have to be in cohesive order to be able to come out with the ultimate outcome. So if you are basically putting on a jacket, it takes 4 steps to put that jacket on. If you're zipping it up, it's very difficult if it's that kind that connects in and zips up. That takes steps. And you have to see those visual steps in your mind to be able to actually to perform them, especially if you've had your sight all your life and you're able to have visioned the actual task at hand. So if you look at, in a nutshell, if you look at Alzheimer's, the more that we do for them, if they're capable of doing it themselves, you're creating an invalid, and it slows down, it speeds up really the progression, because they're not exercising their brain on a regular basis.